Good evening everyone, 5 p.m. on the clock. It's time for Rise with India Prime Time Hour and we're kickstarting it with the Money Show as always. What do we have lined up for you on the show today? Well, about plastic money. When I refer to that, I'm talking about credit cards. So many available on the market and don't be afraid of them. Know how to smartly make use of these credit cards and how to earn money as well while you spend your credit card via your credit card actually. But not just that, also if you've been defrauded because of banking transactions or credit card transactions, this is where we will discuss what steps should you take to prevent such fraudulent transactions and also what should you do if in case you have been defrauded. And finally, we will also be talking about the new trend of easy loans available especially for millennials regardless of your credit rating and how millennials should not get caught in that debt trap. All of this is going to be discussed on the Money Show. Our phone lines are going to be open. If you have any questions or queries on credit cards, on a transaction that you may have incurred because of which you have been defrauded, or any queries with respect to banking transactions as well, call in 24990388. Our phone lines will be open for the next 45 odd minutes. This time around, we thought about starting with Spend with TMS. That's the segment we want to start off with because it's all about credit cards and how you can make the best of the current credit card that you have or what to keep in mind when you are selecting a credit card from here on. And for that, we have with us Pradeep Goyal. He is the founder of cashoverflow.co.in. That's a website essentially that helps viewers choose their credit cards and of course also gives them a sense of how to choose their credit cards very, very wisely and how to use the same as well. Pradeep, thanks so much for joining in on ET. Now, it's a pleasure having you with us. First, let's talk about the major benefits that one gets. Very simple. To put the context straight, especially for all our first-time credit card users, how and what exactly are the benefits that credit card companies give out, especially to the big spenders via the credit card?
One is direct cashback. And the second is by accumulating reward points and then utilizing those reward points against something vouchers or some other gifts. And the third is finding directly discounts on shopping websites when we are doing shopping.
Pradeep, like you said, there are a lot of spendings that you can do on a credit card, but the fact is that we don't know which credit card to choose wisely. So if I am a first-time credit card buyer and let's say as an average Indian user, I want to spend on fuel, I want to spend, maybe a little bit on online shopping, maybe a little bit on travel. For an average Indian user, a salaried employee, what would be the best credit card if their spends are just about average? Or rather, let me reframe this question, Pradeep. Let me reframe this question. What should they watch out for when they are purchasing a credit card?
Very important for you to find a credit card which can be approved easily because you have to build credit history, then only you can get better credit cards later on. So credit card approval depends on your credit history, your location. If you are living in a metro city, then you will get easily approval. If you are living in a small city, then approval will be difficult. And the third is your income. So these are three main basic parameters on which you get credit card approval. Once you get the credit card, your first credit card, after 6-7 months or after 1 year, you can plan for better credit cards. I recommend you to plan for 3 credit cards. One for travel, second is for online shopping, and third is for reward accumulation. I mean for rest of the stuff wherever you where you are not traveling or you are not doing shopping. So then you can use this credit card for rest of the spends.
Broadly, a credit card that's good for traveling, a credit card that's essentially good for online shopping, and a third one for reward accumulation. Go by these 3 and you would be able to do pretty well when you are spending via that plastic money. However, Pradeep, you spoke about how a salaried employee can essentially get a credit card. What exactly will he or she have to report? But what if an employee is working in an unorganized sector or has his or her own business with, of course, not necessarily completely organized, let's say semi-organized. In such a scenario, would it be difficult for that kind of a person to get a credit card company to approve the card?
It's very difficult because banks wants to see a regular salary credited in the account of the applicant, and in these cases they see a lot of risk, so they are afraid to approve a credit card. So one way is to apply through fixed deposit. So they will keep the fixed deposit, against that they will apply, they will issue credit card, or the employee can I mean this person can get the second credit card based on the first credit card. So banks approve second credit card based on the first credit card's payment history as well as the credit limit. So these are the two alternatives for those people who cannot get credit card based on their salary.
Credit card companies ideally would like to see that steady flow of cash coming in every month in your bank account in the form of salary. For self-employed, it may be a little difficult, but yes, you just heard out Pradeep talking about some hacks that you can deploy to get a credit card. You know, Pradeep, another question that I wanted to ask is about charges. We have an annual charge, then you have a processing charge, so on and so forth. So commonly, what are the charges and what would be the average charge for an ordinary credit card? I mean, when tomorrow I am looking for which credit cards I want to opt for, when could I say that this particular credit card company is perhaps charging me a little more and maybe I should not opt for this one?
So when I started my credit card application, so at that time I was also looking for some free credit card, but later on I realized that the free credit card terminology is not the right way to gauge the value of credit card. Rather, we should look at the ROI of what we are investing or paying as a credit card fees. So credit card starts from free, lifetime free, up to 10,000 rupees per year charges. So if given a choice, I would pick a credit card which is charging 10,000 rupees per year, because I can earn up to 50,000 or 60,000 rupees by spending the same amount of money that I have to spend on any other credit card. I mean, rather than earning 10-15,000 rupees from a credit card which is not charging fees, I would like to spend on a better credit card which can give me 3.3% cashback, and I can get, I mean, 3 times benefit on that. So yeah, so there is a big range of credit card fees. It's up to us what we want to see. So we should look at the ROI first.
Okay, ROI, essentially that's the terminology that Pradeep is also deploying for credit cards. There's nothing called as an absolutely free credit card. There will always be perhaps some hidden charges, but eventually you have to look at what you are being able to get by using your credit card smartly. So Pradeep, for you, what would be then in an ideal credit card in terms of perhaps miles that it's offering, in terms of the cashbacks it's offering, and in terms of costs? In an ideal scenario, if our viewers have to pick out a credit card, what would be the ideal parameters to pick out the credit card?
I didn't get this question right, so can you repeat please?
Basically, Pradeep, what exactly is it that an ordinary individual should look out for when they want to pick a credit card?
Mostly people want to look for credit card for travel benefits, because everyone travels, and at that time if they use a right credit card they can earn good points, or they can accumulate miles which can further be used to redeem free tickets. Like last year I have used my reward points to get free ticket worth 16,000 rupees. And then during travel we can stay we can stay in airport lounges free of cost in the domestic airport as well as international airport. That gives a lot of freedom. I mean, rather than sitting in the airport and waiting, we can sit in the lounge, we can have breakfast, dinner, and as well as alcohol. Some lounges offer that as well. So travel is the biggest advantage, travel benefits which we can get from credit cards.
Okay, travel is basically the big benefit. And since we are talking about travel, Pradeep, I have another follow-up question on that. A lot of companies do have cards that offer you, rewards or any sort of cashbacks for a particular airline company. Now, Pradeep, of course, while this differs from individual to individual based on their most commonly traveled routes, would you advise going for an airline-specific card, or would you recommend that a general travel card would be able to serve the purpose better?
Unless you have very loyal to a single airline, then I don't recommend going with the airline credit card. I would recommend going with a generic credit card like Citibank Miles credit card. You can earn miles from any travel, any shopping, and then you can redeem on to get ticket from any airline. So that's the freedom for a regular user like me, because I can earn from any airline and I can redeem the points on any airline. But if I'm employed somewhere where the policy is that you have to travel with Air India only, then I would go with the airline specific credit card.
Pardeep, since we are again talking about travel, I just want to ask you about international credit cards. A lot of our credit cards, if you'll notice, do have this, sort of a facility where you can swipe it abroad as well. Pardeep, is that now a common facility available in almost every card? And if so, do our charges increase if in case there is this entire international usage facility in our card?
Yes, this international facility is available on almost all credit cards, and they charge 3.5% foreign transaction fees on that amount after converting that from dollar to Indian rupees or any other currency to Indian rupees. So 3.5% is additional charges that they take. But there are 2-3 credit cards which offer 1.75% foreign transaction fees. One is HDFC Regalia. Another one is from Yes Bank preferred card, and third one is HDFC Diner credit card.
Okay, all right. Pardeep, in fact, as we speak, we're getting some questions from our viewers. So let's try and attempt to answer that. We have Kabir who has sent in a question. He says, if I use a credit card to book air tickets via a broker, will I get any rewards from the bank or the airways? Basically, he's using an agent, but I think he's using his credit card itself to book. So Pardeep, as opposed to directly booking it from an airline, if you use a travel agent, will there be any difference in terms of the rewards you can enjoy?
Again, I didn't get this question right.
Pardeep, basically our viewer is asking that if in case he is using his credit card to buy an airline ticket, not directly from the airline but via a travel agent, will it affect his reward points? That's what his question is.
It will. Yes, it will, okay. Because the transaction will not be appear as being spent on airline. It will be through the agent. So depending upon how the agent has registered their company, your transaction will be categorized accordingly. So most likely you will not get the airline benefit with that transaction. Okay, so
Kabir, please make sure that if in case you want to enjoy complete rewards, you do essentially book the ticket on your own. Very quickly, Pardeep, before I let you go, you are indeed a credit card guru, so I must ask you then, in the last 1 year, how much have you managed to enjoy or save because of the credit cards that you have used?
So last year I have earned / saved more than 1 lakh rupees through credit cards, because I am using credit cards specific to that category. In shopping itself, I mean, when I was buying MacBook, so there was discount going on, 10,000 rupees discount on MacBook with a credit card. So this, I mean, with a single transaction I have saved 10,000 rupees on buying MacBook. And similarly, from different credit card reward points I have used to redeem Amazon vouchers, shopping vouchers, as well as free airline tickets. So in total I saved more than 1 lakh rupees last year.
10,000 rupees on a single transaction, that certainly is massive savings. And finally, Pardeep, before I let you go, how many credit cards do you own?
So I have almost all premium credit cards because I love premium credit cards. So more than 10 credit cards I am owning, but I don't recommend that to everyone, because it's hard to manage so many credit cards. They have different dates to pay. I mean, I have to keep track, but I enjoy this stuff. Unless you also enjoy working in accumulating credit cards, so you can keep 3 or 4. I enjoy my 10+ credit cards.
Okay, 10 credit cards, and managing that itself, I'm sure, Pardeep, is a full-time job, but that's why you are, I think, the credit card guru. But I guess we leave that to you, and depend on you to advise essentially which credit card to use. We'll just stick to the 2 or 3 what Pradeep is advising. Thanks so much, Pradeep. It was a pleasure having you with us on board to talk about all the credit card hacks that are available. So you do know the benefits, you do know you get rewards, you get cash points, but do you know how to optimally use your credit cards? That's what we just discussed with Pradeep Goyal. We'll take a very quick break right here on the show. When we come back, now that you know how to use your credit cards, know what to do if in case you are defrauded, know what to do to avoid any sort of fraud right after this break. Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show right here on ET. Now, we had an in-depth discussion on credit cards, but now let's simplify some jargons that are commonly used in the credit card industry. One that we've chosen out is APR. What exactly is it? Well, it's annual percentage rate. It's the rate at which you will be charged on your credit card balance, and it also takes into account the interest you pay and how often you will make repayments. Any other additional charges as well, such as processing fees, will be taken into account. So essentially, to make it very simple, it's essentially the overall costs that are incurred while using a credit card. And it's also time for our Myth Buster segment, and today's myth that we want to bust is that if you pay your minimum amount on your credit card, it will not attract interest. Remember, every credit card has this minimum amount that must be paid by the individual. But do remember, folks, that paying the minimum amount will just ensure that late payment penalties are not charged. Interest will still be charged until you do not make the final payment. So this is something that you must keep in mind. Do not think that you're done with if you pay that minimal amount. You have to make the entire credit card payment to completely stop any interest charges. All right, well, there you have it. That's, of course, an all-rounder on credit cards. Just a reminder for all our folks, Pradeep did talk about 3 cards that you could ideally have. One for discounts that you can enjoy for shopping. The second one could be also on what exactly is it that you could enjoy when you're traveling. Remember, a lot of cards are dedicated to traveling. So that as well is something that credit card companies could offer in terms of cashback, discounts, miles, etc. And third is, if you're not using it for any of these 2 options, you can use it for just reward accumulation, utility payments, fuel payments, etc. However, this is about the spending bit. Now let's talk about fraud. That certainly is a scary term that almost everybody has come just about close to and saved their necks, or for some unlucky ones, they've actually been defrauded. What are the red flags and what are the common types of fraud out there? We have with us joining in on the show Mr. Ritesh Bhatia. He is in fact a consultant for cybercrime. Thanks, Ritesh, for joining in on ET now. I don't know if you heard the entire discussion. We had Pradeep, who holds a nice 10 credit cards. Now, holding 10 credit cards can also come with its own set of responsibilities. And
10 times the risk.
10 times the risk and 10 times more responsibility.
Absolutely.
Because you have to safeguard your wealth. So,
Absolutely.
Pradeep, let's first talk about the
Ritesh.
most common ways, pardon me, Ritesh, let's talk about the most common ways in which individuals, especially regular individuals who do not have the sort of knowledge that people like Pradeep or you have to safeguard their credit card. What are the most common ways in which hackers or other unwishing entities could fool them with?
So see, firstly, Mobina, we need to understand that on this credit card that we hold over here, the most important thing are the 16-digit numbers, the expiry date, your name, and behind what is there is the CVV number. Many people think that if my card gets lost, nobody can do anything because he'll still need my PIN or he'll need an OTP. Now that's a very, very big myth, Mobina, because when you go and try to do transactions online on certain foreign websites, they don't ask for OTP. All they do is that they need your 16-digit number, they need your expiry, and they need the CVV. So how do I get this? So sometimes I get this, when you're going to a restaurant or even you're going for shopping and you just give them the card, sometimes they just might keep over there, like carelessly or maybe with an intention, and they just take a picture of your front and the back and they'll give it back to you. So we need to understand that we cannot, the card always has to be in our possession, or any sort of dipping has to be done in front of us. Secondly, I would say always go for a card which has got a chip on it.
Okay.
You know, now still people are holding cards which are just with the stripe.
Yeah.
They need to get it exchanged immediately. Even the RBI has regulated.
Is it compulsory now?
It's compulsory.
Okay.
So it's actually the duty of the bank. But in case if they haven't received that, they better go and get it converted, because the chances of frauds on this is much less.
Okay.
And when you have this, very important that you make sure whenever you're making a payment, you chip the card. You don't swipe it. You don't allow the other person to swipe it on your POS device. You have to insist, because there are chances, there are something called as skimmers. All your entire data is stored on this magnetic strip.
Okay.
A skimmer can easily, you know, once you skim the card, all your data can go up over there. All the data can go up over there. So if you are having a pin-based, chip-based card, ensure that you are dipping it. Yeah.
Okay, as opposed to swiping, ensure that you do use the payment to dip into the card and not swipe it.
Absolutely.
And a very interesting point, just because a person has your card, it does not mean that they'll have to wait for your OTP. Certain websites also just work with the CVV, that's the 3-digit code at the back of the card. This is about credit cards.
Yes.
Between credit cards and debit cards, while of course they are two different cards and you know, they each carry their own risks, do you believe that one perhaps would be safer than the other relatively, or there's nothing like that?
Well, I don't think so there's anything like that. It all depends upon the limit on your cards.
Okay.
Now, you know, from a debit card, you can have your, like, let's say here the limit could be just ₹1 lakh or ₹2 lakh, but within a debit card, what could be is like your bank balance could be ₹5 lakh. So it all depends upon that also. So it's also very essential that when you're using a debit card or even a credit card, most of these banks are now giving you an option to enable or disable your international transactions. So you go onto the website and you can say disable my international transactions, so that only when you're traveling abroad or you want to buy something online from a foreign website, and you don't do that very often unless you are in that kind of a business, so better to disable it. Also set your limit. Even if the bank is providing you with a card with a limit of ₹3 lakh, there is you know, very less probability that you're going to swipe the entire ₹3 lakh. So you're going to spend maximum what, let's say 20,000, 30,000, 5,000. So go and set your limits over there. Many banks have started giving those options via their apps and via net banking also. So this is very important as far as the safety is concerned. So even if the card is misplaced or it's misused, somebody cannot do a transaction more than the amount that you have specified.
Because there's, you know, the reason why I ask you this question is there's a big myth in the markets or, you know, between individuals that, you know, credit card se zyada debit card safe hai, or vice versa, because in debit card, once the money is gone, it's just gone. Whereas in a credit card,
absolutely, you can still call up the bank, you can still tell them, okay, look, block this payment, or you can file for, like, you know, a chargeback or something like that, that look, I didn't do this transaction. Then they will do their particular investigations. Of course, they will hold back a particular thing. If it's an Indian transaction only, it's very easy to trace it also. But here, another thing that we need to remember is, you know, the moment you have these cards, and the more the cards, the more the risk, as I said. You are also, there are 3 main forms of social engineering that happens. So social engineering is just trying to get information from you. So there is phishing, there is wishing, and there is smishing.
Okay.
So phishing is, you know, it says, you get an email and it says, look, your credit card is blocked. Click over here to reactivate it. Don't fall into such traps. There's nothing that's going to happen like that. If at all it happens, call up the customer. Same thing will happen through a phone call also. Ma'am, your credit card has been blocked, or do you want to upgrade it? Don't pay heed to them. You know, time and again RBI said, don't share your numbers and all that. Thirdly, it is through SMS. It will tell you, you have 5,000 rupees as worth of points in your debit card, and they are going to expire within 15 minutes. Act now. And you're going to click over there. You're going to enter all your details and gone. So don't fall prey into any of that. So the last one that I said was smishing, because it came as an SMS to you.
Ah, okay. You know, so based on the mode of the communication that the hacker has.
So if it's a voice one, it's wishing.
Okay.
If it's on the website, it's phishing, and it is smishing with this, which is the
email.
SMS one.
SMS, yeah. Okay. Phishing, smishing, wishing. You need to be aware. Never, ever, ever, ever give out any sort of card details, especially that 3-digit number, which some hackers very conveniently ask you to give out. Sometimes even threaten or bully you or blackmail you, which is even scarier, you know.
Absolutely. You know, they are going to try all forms tons of ways. Now the newer methods are like they ask you to, you know, because now they call you, they know you're pretty smart, you're not going to give out the information. They ask you to install a particular phone mirroring app, something like an AnyDesk or a TeamViewer, things like
recorder,
these. These mirror the screens, and they say, okay, just give us that particular code. They take that code from you, and now whatever you are typing over there, they are able to see it. And so, lastly, there are malwares. You know, these are the malwares. Malwares are nothing but they are like kind of hidden apps. They can read each and every SMS of yours. So, you know, we need to be very careful, Mobina, what kind of permissions we are giving. A particular, let's say, app, you know, let's say it is used only for as a torch purpose, or it is used for, many people just, you know, download some funny jokes or shairi and all that. They don't realize these apps which are just giving them funny jokes or shairi, they're actually reading each and every SMS of yours. And in that SMS, besides your personal messages, you also get the OTPs. So we have to be very careful about what we are downloading. Certain apps which were very important, we just need to have those.
Okay, that's a very interesting point raised. You know, many a times when we do download apps on our phones, when you launch the app will ask you, will so-and-so app access your contacts, your SMS, your WhatsApp, Facebook, etc. And you just click allow blindly, whereas that actually can hold a potential to access all the private information, especially the personal financial information you have. So it's a very good point raised. Do not give blind access permission to applications just like that. Okay, this was of course about credit cards. Now let's talk about banking, because we have been seeing a lot of fraud happen over there, especially with the advent of all your digital payment apps.
Yes.
In digital payments, what should our viewers and our individuals be aware of?
Currently, as far as digital payments are concerned, firstly, many wallets have come up. It started with Paytm, now there is PhonePe, there is Google Pay. Everybody wants to get into the market. It's a very lucrative market, no doubts about it. But it's like, you know what, you just are trying to have all the wallets just because you're getting an offer. So you get a movie offer on this, so you put that app. You get some offer or grocery offer on that, you put that app. But we need to understand those apps very, very well. And especially when somebody requests for a particular payment to you, because since we are talking about, you know, so much about digitalization, and since we are talking about making payments, so somebody will say, okay, I'm going to request a payment from you. So I send you a link, and actually I'm requesting you, and this is what the fraudsters do. For example, there is a particular marketplace which sells second-hand goods, wherein you can post second-hand goods. So let's say you have posted an ad for a bed. I will just call you. I say, okay, look, hey, I'm interested in this bed, and I'm sending you in advance. So I ask you, do you have a digital wallet? You will say, yes, I have this digital wallet. I will, you know, then just send a request for money. Let's say, you know, I want to pay you 5,000 rupees. I'm sending you a request, and you are getting pay Ritesh 5,000. And you know, you ask me, why I have to pay? So I say, no, this is exactly, I'm paying you.
A play on words.
It's a play on the words. It's completely and you know, they put a psychological pressure. They again take you to somewhere else. They'll again start conversing you.
Or they'll probably tell you, I don't want to take this table, and you get a little
something like that. And then you will just click, and unfortunately then that's 5,000 that's come to me, in fact. So this is where we have to be extremely careful. Ideally, the service provider, the payment wallet fellow, he should write that your bank balance is this. After clicking over here, your bank balance will be lesser by 5,000. You know, ideally, I wish if they implement this, there will be much lesser frauds.
Basically, just articulating it. What's going to happen after you conclude a particular transaction? I think that exactly should also be a responsibility that a lot of
and many places you see a QR code that you just take a phone and, you know, you just make the payment. Fraudsters nowadays are putting their stickers of QR codes. So it's very important. If you see a QR code, there is a chance that it could be just a sticker. So it's better you ask the merchant that are you sure about this? Is it yours? And you scan it, and the moment you try to pay it, before that you show it. It's showing some other name. It's not showing your name. Are you sure about it? You know, so he'll also get alerted about that. So, you know, these are the...
That's beneficial for the shopkeeper as well, by the way, you know, that somebody has just simply stuck a sticker on his own QR code.
Yes, absolutely. It could be as inside a person also.
Oh goodness, okay, that's a bit scary now. Okay, banking. All of us, almost everybody now uses net banking. And it seems really simple, right? I mean, I can access it on my mobile phone. I can access it via my app. But again, year two, hackers have found a way to sort of, manipulate what you are putting into your phone and perhaps take away your wealth. So what are the most common ways of that?
So the most common ways are, if you're doing it through your computer or desktop laptops, then phishing is the thing. You get an email that your net banking has been logged or something, you click over that mail and you don't see the path. So if it's yourbank.com, it could be a play of words also. It could be yourbank dot some hackers
.org or
some
something,
.co. So you have to be very, very careful about that. It's better that you again contact the customer service to ask whether it's blocked or it's not blocked. So that's phishing. Just ignore such mails. There's no point in following these kind of mails.
Just like credit cards.
Just like credit card things and all that. Even as far as apps are concerned, there are many fake apps also, Mubina. You're trying to download, let's say, Bank of Baroda app or a particular branch or any particular bank app, and you go and search. You go and search for that particular bank and you see 2-3 apps over there coming up. So you have to be very clear which app is the original one. So the one with the maximum reviews and ratings, and wherein they have made the comments also that, hey, look, this is a fake app, don't download it. So read all those things. Lastly, it is all about spyware. Spyware is a category of malware, means a kind of a virus which looks everything onto your phone. It is spying everything. So when you are downloading something like, as I told you, a Torch or a Bhajan, or
those fancy apps.
The fancy apps, they are actually kind of something called as a layover apps. What they are doing is that whatever transaction you're doing through your net banking and everything through your mobile, they're able to see everything. Sometimes we install fancy keyboards on our mobile, but the keyboard will warn you that this keyboard is able to collect all your credit card information and passwords. So these are key loggers of the phone also.
Okay, folks, please delete all those apps that you have on your phone right now. I know I'm going to get off and do that first, because I'm guilty of downloading some of those very useless apps as well, I must say. So if our viewers have to spot some red flags, what is it that they should spot? Whether they are making a credit card transaction, whether they're making a banking transaction, what should essentially pop out in their eye, which should tell them, hey, stop, think and then do this transaction?
Well, when you're doing it on a desktop or a laptop or with a credit card, or even if it's net banking, it's very important to see on what website are you. Is it with the HTTPS or not? It has to have a green padlock. It has to have, nowadays, so sometimes we are able to spot, okay, this is like shopping.com, but now there are certain kind of characters wherein shopping.coms, it looks like shopping.com, but the I doesn't has a dot on it. So we have to be extremely careful about all those things. So you are going to be shopping on websites which are very prominent. It's better that you search it. It comes up on the first rank. Just be careful that it's not showing up as an ad. Just click up over there in the first rank, and there you go. Secondly, whenever you are entering the credit card information or the net banking information, you got to make sure your machine is very clean. Now, most of the machines, now we don't have like original operating systems. We don't have antivirus. The antivirus also that we have, we like download it from somewhere and look for a crack on it. Come on, you just got to buy a 400 rupees antivirus. So that's very important. As far as the phone is concerned, again, if you have downloaded the correct app, then there is absolutely no problem. But don't save your credit card, debit card details on the phones. Many banks, many apps will tell you that this will become very convenient. It is not a great procedure. I mean, this is not a good thing. Practice to do so.
You mentioned SIM swapping as well. If you could explain that to our viewers.
Okay, so now since we are talking everything related to money and banking, the common element, like whether it's your digital app or it's your mobile number. Okay, without that you're not able to do anything as such. So we have to understand one thing, that the fraudsters, generally what they do, they will take your identity card. It is very easy to morph ID cards nowadays. Okay, they will just modify your ID card. They will go to a particular store and they'll say, look, I have lost my SIM card. Now, ideally, these storekeepers are supposed to do a proper KYC and issue it. But some of them are careless, or they're hand in glove. They hand it over, and your SIM will get deactivated on a Friday night or on a Saturday night when you're asleep, and that's how they have issued him another SIM card, and that gets activated. And the transactions happen after a particular hours. Many of the times we have two phones. So hackers,
all our OTPs as well go to the hacker.
The OTPs are also going to the hackers. He already has your information about your net banking, maybe through social engineering, maybe through some bad website that you visited. Or a simple photograph,
like you said.
Oh yes, simple, just a photograph or something like that, or some bad website he went on to. And there it is. He just starts doing the transactions and all the money is gone.
So I suppose a lot of you are very, very frightened, by this entire conversation that we are having. Very quickly, Ritesh, I have to wrap up this conversation. Just a brief answer from you, unfortunately. If, unfortunately, any of our viewers have been defrauded, credit card or banking, what is the first step they should take?
The first step is immediately to call up the bank. Sometimes, we are just not like, we say, okay, we'll go to the police first or we'll do this. No, call up the bank immediately. Block your account, block your card. It's extremely important to do that and inform them that something like this has happened and I don't know what has happened. And then immediately go to the police station, file a complaint, and then again follow up with your bank. It's a little tedious process, but you need to follow up with the bank as per even the RBI regulations. If it's not your fault, within 3 working days, you should get your money back, provided it's not your carelessness.
Yes. Okay, all right. So first thing you have to do, I know you have to go to the police station, but before that, you have to call up your bank, and it's very, it's simple now to get a hold of your customer relationship.
Absolutely.
Just call them and tell them right now to block all your savings accounts or your credit cards, whatever it is, and then continue with the process. Okay, I hope, Ritesh, after this, our viewers are going to be a bit more careful. They're going to delete their apps from their phone. They're going to be careful of any phishing emails as well. Thank you, Ritesh, for enlightening them and potentially saving them lakhs and lakhs of rupees.
My pleasure.
I hope, folks, you have taken note of all of those pointers that Ritesh has just shared with us. Remember, it can happen in any form. It could be something as simple when you're trying to scan a QR code and turns out that it is another hacker that has pasted his own QR code, which means your money is going to the wrong hands. Be careful of such activities. Quick break right here in the show, and since we're talking about credit card and debit card, we'll help you how not to get trapped in the entire pay now, buy now, pay later trap. Welcome back. You're watching The Money Show right here on ET Now, where we were talking about how to make the most use of your credit cards, how to safeguard yourself from frauds. And now we will talk about a conversation in light of this, and that is how to not get caught in the debt trap. Yes, credit cards are available plentifully, and along with that is all sorts of discounts and offers. But how should you make sure that you don't get so lured into the debt trap that you have ended up selling your future? That's by taking on so much debt. To talk about that, we have with us Anil Rego. He's the founder and CEO of Right Horizons. Anil, thanks so much for joining in on ET Now. We have seen this entire advent of very easy loans, P2P lending, even lending, in fact, for that matter, when an individual does not have a good credit history. With such easy money available, it's very easy for, individuals to just buy that expensive iPhone or perhaps buy another expensive gadget, even if it does not fit their budget. So what are the questions, according to you, millennials and individuals should ask themselves before they make that expensive purchase?
Yeah, I think the first thing that you need to look at is identify between a need and a want. And most of the time, we end up going and buying the wants more than our needs itself. And our needs are impacted. If it goes beyond what you can actually end up repaying, then you get into a bit of a debt trap. So now, what is the solution for this, and what should a person ideally do is they should go back and actually look at it proactively, so that first of all they don't get into a debt trap itself. right? So, and how can you do that? You can do a financial plan, list out all your needs, and capture all of the important needs. Follow it up with, looking at a yearly budget, okay? And in your yearly budget, break it down sort of into a monthly one. And again, there you can sort of prioritize. These are big ticket items that I should be looking at during this financial year, and so that helps you and that guides you into avoiding large ticket item purchases which are sort of not in line with your needs or goals. The other part is every time you have something which is coming outside your budget, go back and ask yourself, now is it a need or is it a want? And if it's a need and it's not budgeted for, then yes, maybe I can look at it, but probably I should have had some bit of money which I've kept aside as a buffer for such requirements. And if it's a want, can I afford it? Is it going to hurt my budget? Is it going to become difficult for me to repay? And then if it is difficult for me to repay, then I should relook at it. Should I do it in the first place? Should I look at an alternate way of going about that particular expense?
Okay. Anil, but what about those millennials who have unfortunately caught themselves already in this debt trap? I mean, they've already overspent, and now, of course, they are staring at a debt bill that's come very high, a credit card bill that's come very high. What are the steps that they can take from here on to reduce their indebtedness?
Yeah, I think the first thing you need to do is understand where you are today, right? So if you are at a point when you are really neck deep, then go back and look at what are all the liabilities that you have. You start off cutting out, or moving away from higher cost liabilities to sort of lower cost liabilities. So a credit card, for example, is a definite no-no for anybody. Now you can simplify it, that if you really had to take a short-term you have a short-term requirement and use a credit card, then the card company itself may just offer you, where you can convert it into a loan with EMIs over say 6 months or 1 year. But the interest rates on that is significantly lower. So you can look at, certain simple strategies like that. But ideally, if you can avoid the whole credit card stuff itself. Now the second one which is costly, which be your personal loans. Again, there's most of the time it's without a security, so it comes at a slightly higher interest rate. So there again, as far as possible, if you can avoid it, reduce that. Look for maybe loans which give you lower interest rates, and they can be say a loan against securities, or shares, maybe your deposits. It could be loan against property. So look for loans like that. Keep it such that you're able to repay it easily, and for that you may need to sort of increase the tenure. So if you can have an instrument which, let's say a loan against property, which say gives you 5 years, and the EMI is more achievable and easier for you to manage, then that is something one can do. But now, if you have sort of reduced your EMIs because you've spread it out over a longer period of time, it doesn't mean that you should go and spend that out. Right. So the second part of it is, how do you go back and cut your expenses so that you are able to achieve it. Focus on what is it that you can do. If you cut your expenses, can I use this to build up some capital and go back and repay this loan a little quicker? I think if you are able to keep your loans to a limited extent, not exceeding anywhere between 25 to 35% of your income, I think then you are safer. But ideally, again, if you are taking a loan, try and make it a loan only for assets that yield, like if you are buying a property. If it's for for a vacation and stuff like that, ideally you should not be taking a loan. You should be working towards building up a capital towards it. So pull down your expenses and see if you can start maybe a systematic investment into a debt fund or an RD with a bank, and then you can actually go and take care of, let's say, that vacation and manage it much better.
Anil, very, very quickly, you spoke about reducing expenses. So if you could share with our viewers then some top tips on how they can save money every day, but very quickly.
Yeah, different people would like to can reduce expenses in different ways. It depends on how your expenses are. So if a lot of your money is going on, say, vacations, then maybe I look for Airbnb and other alternatives. Can I book my tickets earlier? So similarly, if a lot of it is going on food, can I look at some programs which give me discounts? Can I, look at a lesser frequency, etc. So you have to find out, ways and means where you can end up reducing your expenses, and I'm sure there's always an alternate way of doing it. There's a better way of doing it at a lesser price. So go back and reduce your expenses as well, so that you are able to manage within your limits.
All right, Anil, thanks so much then for those very quick tips on how millennials can avoid running into that debt trap. Of course, it's very important to distinguish between need and want, like Anil flagged off. Make sure you don't run into a debt because of your wants, because that is the first mistake in financial planning. Thanks a lot, Anil, for that. Well, on that note, we are completely out of time on this edition of The Money Show. Thank you so much for watching. Startup Central is going to take forward Rise with India Primetime Hour. But before we let you go, here is a quick wrap of what we have discussed today, whether it's with respect to your credit card use, how to safeguard it, all the top pointers. Make sure you're taking note of it while this runs on our screen.